Hey everybody, they say a healthy mind on a healthy body. Today I am joined by the chef. He is well known across the country. He is a celebrity chef. His name is James Ferry. He is a professional chef, author, and a founder of a functional food brand called Pluck. James, what's up?
Hey, Zoe, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. I mean, I know you seem, and from what I've watched, you're very into fashion and modeling. But I'm so excited that you invited someone who's about health because I tend to believe health starts from within, and it
Try.
shows and then it shows on the outside how healthy you are on
Right.
the outside. So that's good.
Absolutely. I think, I am in a journey of wellness. I do wellness, and the part of the podcast touch base around well-being, which is include food and nutrition and functional diet, which is why when I get the opportunity to have you on the show, I was like, oh my God, I'm so fascinated to learn more from an expert.
Yeah, well,
So
tell
how
me how have you been changing your health? Because you were in Africa, you said before, and then you've
yes.
now for a while. Did you notice like your health go downhill when you moved to the States since we don't eat very well here, or what did you
It
notice?
did, it did. So recently, I was doing the blood work, and the doctor said my cholesterol levels are high. And from that time, I knew that I was not eating healthy. I didn't have a healthy well-being. And then now I'm in a process of finding better ways to live a meaningful life, starting from within, so that I can flourish from the outside.
Yeah, that's great. And what changes are you already making?
I mean, changes. I was taking so much soda, so
Yeah.
now I've cut on soda and less alcohol as well. Trying to eat healthy, not fast food. So, which is why I am fascinated to learn more about blood and what it provides. What are some of the benefits and how accessible it is for the people who are on the journey of well-being and self-development.
Yeah,
So,
I think what you're speaking to is an issue for most Americans, particularly, but most of us. The Something like 93% of Americans are nutrient deficient,
right.
but we're not calorie deficient, which is a very important distinction.
Mm.
It's not that we're not getting enough food, we're eating the wrong foods. And so
Mhm,
a lot of times people are walking around with a lot of health issues, whether it's skin issues, whether it's memory issues, sleep issues,
mhm,
mood issues, lots of different issues. And then they're kind of these low hanging annoyances. Like they're just kind of little
mm,
things that annoy us. Like maybe you get tired after you eat. Maybe I don't know, have to undo your belt after you eat food, or you just feel bloated or something like that,
mm,
and people don't really they don't connect it all the time to that it has to do with what they're eating. They think it's just, oh, I didn't get enough sleep, or oh, it's environmental, or
mm,
I'm menstruating, or they think it's something else. But a lot of the
mm.
times it's because they're nutrient deficient.
Interesting. Fascinated. So may you share a little bit more about your journey? I've seen that you've worked with the billionaires, the celebrities such as Tom Cruise, Katie Holmes, Barbara Streisand. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow, James, share a little bit more about your journey up until when you started being a chef and then till the day you started you find its blog.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think anyone that's in health is there for a reason, and so for me it was because I got a kidney stone when I was just out of college, so I was in my early 20s. And a kidney stone is usually due to, well, it can be a lot of reasons, but I was eating pizza and I was drinking lots of root beer. So to your point, you were saying you were drinking lots of soda, as was I. And I was not drinking enough water. And basically the different ingredients in the soda can build up in your body, and they can create these little like stones, these kind of like mineral stones. And when those stones try to leave your body and they go through the urinary tract, it's a very, very thin track, and those stones are bigger than track, so it hurts like it hurts like nothing I've ever experienced. Like I heard it was the closest a guy can have to having a baby. Like that's how incredibly painful it was.
Yeah.
And so when it passed, the first thing I said to the doctor was like, how do I make sure this never happens again? And he was like, well, what have you been drinking? What have you been eating? And I said, oh, root
Mhm.
beer. And he's like, well, are you drinking water too? And I was like, no, isn't there water in root beer? And he was like, no, you have to drink water too. And from that day forward, not only did I connect what I ate to my health, but I also carried a water bottle around. Like I just was much more mindful of making changes in my eating habits for my health. And so that took me on a whole journey towards when I eventually became a chef, and I was all about trying to help people to eat healthy. And we all have different definitions of health. Like, you know, when I started in this, and maybe even you grew up thinking like this, I know we're different ages, but a
Yeah.
lot of people think health is grilled chicken breast, steamed vegetables, and like a
Mhm.
baked sweet potato or something. Like
Right.
that's what everyone thinks is healthy. And it's like that's bland, and it doesn't have to be that.
Mm.
Like it can be,
Right.
there's so many other foods out there that are actually nutrient dense. The food can be way more tasty. The food can be differently,
Mm.
but it has to start with actually a couple things you already mentioned. One is eating real foods. So not eating fast foods, not eating ultra processed foods, but just eating real foods. And the way I would describe that is foods that are ingredients versus have ingredients.
Right.
And then
Uh,
choosing the right foods. So that was kind of the chef I became, and I became well known because people were losing weight, or they were losing their baby weight. They were losing like the pesky problems I was talking about, or the
mm.
lack of like weight people were carrying around was getting just melting right away when they would eat my food. And it wasn't because I was calorie restricting, it was because I was making things from scratch. and
Impressive.
uh, and so then I started working on all those celebrities, and that was really fun and hard work. But eventually I just wanted more. I didn't want to just work for the 1%. I wanted to help the 99%. And so I started a
Mm.
meal delivery service in Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And then I sold that. And then I had kids. And that's when I came up with Pluck. And basically, my goal was to try to get the most nutrient dense foods
Right.
easily into my daughter's diets and my own diet. And that when you do the research, the most nutrient dense foods in the planet, they are organ meats coming from animals, usually from
Mm.
cows or sheep or even elk, buffalo, just organ meats. And if you're out in the wild, if you ever watch, like, Animal Planet, you watch a tiger
Mm.
take down an elk or something like that, or an antelope, some of the first parts of that animal they eat are the organs.
Right.
So the organs are the most nutrient dense. So if you're trying to be efficient and get the most bang for your buck, you eat the organs because
Mm.
they're going to give you maximum nutrients, easily digested into your body. But the issue is, in America, we're not eating those. We're just, Americans are averse to it, eating it. Do you eat many organs in Africa?
Absolutely. We are very there's so much of organic food that we eat that is not processed, which is one thing that I appreciate about the continent of Africa in general, around food and the taste. You spoke around not compromising taste, which is one of the things that I'm fascinated about. To say, how did you come about in your recipe and formalization of Pluck, not compromising taste, making sure that people they still have nutrients as well as taste.
Yeah, well, if there's anything I've learned as a chef, it's that if you want health to be a lifestyle, you have to hit two things with your food. You have to make it easy, and you have to make it delicious. Now, if I'm cooking for you,
Oh,
if I'm cooking for you, you don't have to worry about it being easy, but I'm more talking about if you're selling a product, a food product to people. Like,
mm,
if you want those people to make it a lifestyle where they're using that product all the time, it's got to be both easy and delicious. Because as
mm,
humans, I mean, if you think about it, think about the health food out there. Like, if it's easy for you to get the health food, but it tastes gross, how long are you going to eat it? Not very long, right? And if
yeah.
it tastes really delicious, but it's hard for you to do, you're also not going to do it very long.
Right. Yes.
But if it's easy, then you'll do it. That's why, bars, even though they're actually not very healthy for you, those nutrition bars, they're not healthy for us. But one of the reasons why we eat them is because they're easy to eat and they're delicious, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So
First.
so that's really what I was striving towards with Pluck. Now, I said organ meats,
Mm.
and I'm just curious. In Africa, did you eat like animal organs, like liver, heart, kidney, spleen? Did you eat those kind of things?
Yes, yes. From my region, we eat those. We call them the insides.
Yeah, insides.
Yes.
How do they show up in your food?
I mean, the insides, they are very tasty. They are very delicious. They traditional is one of the traditional foods. It could be either chicken insides or goat insides or cow insides or lamb insides, things like that. So they are very nutritious and we cook them. They're delicious. They're very flavorful. They're very tasteful, which is one of the things that we embrace eating them because they are nice, right?
Yeah.
So
I like
yes.
that. The insides. I love that. Yeah. Well, here in the US, we're just not eating the insides. We're not eating it.
Yes.
And so what I did was I basically identified, okay, well, there's a handful of ways that people do eat them here in the US, and they take them in capsules. And when they're in capsules, they're usually coming from 100% grass-fed cows. So,
Mhm.
properly raised, humanely raised cows.
Right.
But they're freeze dried and powdered, and they're in capsule form so that people just swallow them and then they don't have to taste them. And I was like, wait a second, I want people to eat it, first of all. I don't want people to swallow it. And so I was like, well, how can I get people to do that? Because I think it tastes gross. So I had to make sure that it hit three. I overcame three hurdles. So one was I had to make it taste good. Two is I had to make it easy for you, so that because one of the issues that most Americans have with insides is that they don't know how to cook them.
Yes.
You can't cook them the same way you do muscle meat. Like, they don't have to cook as long, for some of them.
Mm.
If you overcook them, the texture changes. It's just it's different than muscle meat. And
Yes.
so I I wanted to solve that. And then the third thing is, a lot of people don't know where to source them. So I wanted to solve that as well. So basically what I did was I took 100% grass fed New
Mm.
Zealand or freeze dried powdered organ meats. So we
Mhm.
take the liver from a cow, the heart, the kidney, the spleen, the pancreas. So 5
Mhm.
organs, and they're all in powdered form. They're just a real food that's been freeze dried and powdered. And then I combined it with organic spices and herbs. These are already
Mm.
dried herbs, and like garlic and onion and paprika and lemon peel, all
Mm.
these different things that are real foods that are already dried. And by mixing them together, I created a seasoning that you can sprinkle on your food. And the seasoning's so good, as you'll find out when you try yours, it's so good that it
Yes.
actually makes the food taste better. But then you're getting organ meats in your food and you don't even know you're eating organ meats.
Right. Impressive. I can't wait to try mine. So guys, if you're listening, this podcast is sponsored by Pluck, which is a functional food brand. You can check them out on the Instagram page Plug, and you can follow Chef James Berry on Instagram as well. So today we are discussing more about nutrition, health, best diet, as well as functional foods that we can try in changing our minds, body, and insides. That's a fun word that I said. So, when did you find it? Which year did you found it? The blog?
Yeah, about a little over 3 years ago. And
Yeah.
so it was during COVID, which was challenging, because here we had this new food product that no one knew what it tasted like, and we
Mm.
couldn't get samples to them because there were no grocery stores you could have tables at, there were no
Yeah.
conferences.
Right.
So what I did actually was I went on podcasts a lot, and so I've been on a lot of podcasts at this point, and I would send samples to the host so that they could talk about their experience, and it worked really well to
Mm.
help launch us. And at this point, I think people are now very keen and aware that we're a very clean spice company. So this
Mm.
spices and herbs are all real food. There's no additives. That we double test everything for contaminants and heavy metals, which is really important with any processed foods or any
Mm.
foods that you're being sold into in the store. And then secondly, people now see it, they're seeing how easy it is, you know, and I think that's really the key is that, well, they're also seeing how good it tastes, but I think what's really important is that we have to recognize that we're not eating well. Like you even said, it's like you struggled
Mm.
when you got here. You were eating lots of fast food, and the reality is most people are eating out. That's and particularly people of your generation are eating out all the
Yes.
time. They're eating out all the time, and so the reality is whenever you eat out, it's impossible to be healthy, and there's a reason for that. It's
Mm.
not because restaurants are evil or anything like that. It's because they have bottom lines. They're trying to make a profit, and when you to
Mm.
make a profit, you have to have cheap ingredients, and so they use these cheap processed ingredients in their
Mm.
food, and you eat that food and you're buying that food because it's cheap and it's tasty, but then it doesn't give you health. And so a lot of people end up paying for that cheap food later on in life when they have those big, hospital bills.
Yes. Yes.
So if from my perspective, it's like, okay, well, if I can, I'm not going to probably convince anyone here who's eating at a fast food restaurant to stop eating at fast food because there's probably a reason why you're eating there, and that's the reason you
Mm.
have to come to on your own. Like you're not going to do that because I tell you. But what I can help you with though is that if you're eating anywhere, whether it's at home or out, you can take Pluck and you can sprinkle it on your food, and it will make those French fries taste better, and now you're getting that extra nutrition that you were not getting. So it actually takes
Mhm.
that food and makes it a little bit better, it makes it better for you. And that's, to me, it's these little movements. If we can do them daily, then we start to see ourselves as healthier people. We start to feel better in our skin, you know?
We can't wait. We are in a journey of embracing the movement of well-being, eating healthy, and normalizing eating whole. And I think nowadays, you look at the lifestyle in general, the lifestyle is restaurants, right?
It
You look
really
at
is.
social media, people will post on restaurant because that's what we see and that's what who we are currently. But at the same time, as you've mentioned, there are consequences that associated with the lifestyle that is eating either eating disorder, things like that, or either being sick, right? So I am happy that we are sharing these ideas and finding ways to create a solution, and Pluck is the solution today, in making sure that we are eating well and living longer and having a longevity of well-being. So I want to ask, why some of the tips maybe you can share to parents who are listening. How can they incorporate Pluck on their daily activities or either cooking or hosting? Is it Black designed for hosting 3 or 5 people per meal or per packaging?
Yeah, the packaging, I mean, it's a similar amount to what you would get when you buy a seasoning,
Mm,
container. So you can use as much or as little of it as you want, and you could follow your taste buds. But the key is, kind of why I always tell people you should be eating these foods rather than
mm.
swallowing them, is because we have to remember we're animals. Like we're no different than that tiger out there in terms of like
Mm,
that we have innate knowledge of what we need to eat. We've just gotten very confused because of all the
mm.
marketing and the ultra processed foods and the artificial flavorings and the natural flavorings.
Yes.
Like it's confused our bodies, but inside us, biologically, we have the ability to know what food we should be eating, what
Mm,
food we want to be eating, what our body wants. But the only way to tap into this innate biological kind of ancestral knowledge
mm,
is to eat the food. And the food, that knowledge starts with your eyes. When you see food, from afar, if you imagine yourself, back in the day and in some kind of forest or jungle or something like that, and you see visually this bright looking food on a tree, the eyes bring you closer. As you get closer, you start to smell it, and then the smell makes you reach out to grab it, and as you get even closer, you maybe put it in your mouth and you start to taste it, and all of that information is informing your body, what the food is in terms of its nutrition, but also what it's going to provide your body. And when you eat real food, your body knows when to stop. It's when we're eating all these processed, ultra processed foods that our
Mm.
bodies get confused, and then they eat the whole bag or the whole carton. They don't know when to stop. So right away, when people start using Pluck, they notice a couple things. So they notice those little things like maybe sleep, skin,
Mm.
um, memory, energy. Those little things that have been kind of keeping them down start to actually
Mm.
improve. They also notice that their taste buds change. So a lot of Americans, their taste buds are salty and sweet. That's because
Mm.
everything in the U.S. is salty sweet. That's not true in Africa, though. I know that for a fact. Like you
Yeah.
guys have sour, you have bitter,
Yes.
you have salty. Like you have many more kind of variants of your taste in your
Yes.
cuisine, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
True.
here in the U.S. though, it's just salty and sweet primarily. So right away, one of the things that Pluck helps is it helps to kind of change the palate, because Pluck is umami, and umami is the fifth taste. So we have bitter, sour, salty, sweet, and umami
Mm.
is the fifth one. And they're all unique flavors. So when you get umami in your food, it makes the other flavors taste better, but it also starts to kind of awaken your palate to something different than just salty, sweet. And so we get feedback that kids start to actually become more adventurous eaters,
Mm.
um, let alone that they feel better in their body. So when I tell people like how to use Pluck, I'm really talking about just treat it like anything you would season. Like if you can salt it, you can pluck it. It's not.
If you can salt it, you can black it. I love it.
Yeah, it's really not that different. I mean, it's we joke that it goes with anything. Like my kids put it on
Mhm.
popcorn, they put it on toast,
Yeah.
rice, um, pasta, vegetables, fish,
Mm.
chicken, beef, lamb, whatever. It really goes on anything. And we joke that the only thing it doesn't go well with is ice cream. But then someone told us, they said, "Oh, I tried it on ice cream and it tasted good." So
Oh my.
there you go.
Wild.
Yeah.
Great. If you can salt it, you can black it for sure. I like that we talk about knowing better, but not doing better. And how can um, we do better by making sure that Pluck is accessible? Let's talk about accessibility of Pluck. Where is it available for people who want to do better and they know better about the brand and they're in a journey of doing better in terms of wellness and eating healthy?
Well, I
How?
think, yeah, I think any health food only works if you use it, right? So
Mm.
the only way to really benefit from Pluck is to actually use it. And you want to use it, with every meal. And then you're getting the micro dosing of the organ meats frequently, which is cumulative effect. So we tend to think, particularly here in America, we tend to think that it's all about big movements. Like I've got to eat, it's go big or go
Go
or not.
home.
Yeah, go home, right? So, but
Yes.
that's actually not the way the body works. Like a lot of times, if the body gets too much of something too fast,
Mm.
it just pees it out or eliminates it. Gets rid of it. Or sometimes it gets stored in your fat, depending on what it is. So it's like the body can only handle so much, and most of us in America, we're actually have detoxification issues. So a lot of people are not
Mm.
pooping regularly. Their pee is not the right color. Their
Mm.
body is having trouble eliminating the toxins from the environment and from their food sources and their water sources. So if you get too much of anything, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it overwhelms your system. So I'm a big fan of you do little movements, and it's not necessarily about how much of that movement you're doing, but more importantly that you're doing it daily. And that goes for anything. Like you name anything that anyone is working on, the way to work through it is to work through it daily. So we could throw out even a random thing like intimacy, right? Let's just say you're someone
Mm.
who's struggling with intimacy. Well, if I struggle with intimacy and I hug someone once a month, does that
Yes.
affect my intimacy needle? Like, does that actually help me become more intimate? No, right? Because it's only
Mm.
once a month. But if
Yes.
I'm doing little touches and little like interactions every day,
Mm.
then now I'm starting to like actually like affect my nutrition or my intimacy. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
the same goes for your nutrition or for your exercise or anything like that. It's
Mm.
about doing these things daily. And then there's other things that you can do as well, because I don't want to just treat it as though Pluck is the only thing you can do. It's like Pluck is a great way to get organ meats in your diet. We call it the gateway of eating organ meats. And so if organ meats are the gateway towards nutrient abundance, then Pluck
Mm.
is the gateway to organs. However, there's other things you can do. And one of them you actually laid out at the very top. You said, oh, I'm drinking a lot of soda. Well, what you can do instead of doing the soda is you could drink more water, right? But some people are like, oh, that's so hard, right? Well, so then I set a rule. I say, okay, for every soda I drink, I have to drink 2 of the same amount of water. So if you're
Mm.
drinking an 8-ounce glass of soda, or bottle or can or whatever, then I have to drink 16 ounces of water. It's like you just start
Mhm.
setting rules that are leaning towards the desired outcome that you want. So if your
Mm.
desired outcome is to be more healthy, then you have to make sure that the healthier things you're doing often, and you're doing them more often than you're doing the unhealthy things. And eventually, like, you'll want to do the healthy things. Like, you
Right.
eventually you like, I don't drink sodas at all anymore. Like, I haven't drank them in
Mm.
20 years or more, and I don't want to. Like, I prefer not to drink them. And that's what happens when we start to do these healthier things. Our body craves the healthier thing, but you got to get past the tipping point to achieve that.
Great. Oh my God, you said mouthful things. When we're looking around life movement for better health, you say little movement for better health. Um, Knowing that you have to do healthy or to eat healthy is a dream for everybody. But the process of exercising that dream is really hard to achieve, and which is why you can try Pluck on your food, guys. And I wanted you touch base around the digestive system. How does a Pluck help with the digesting
Yeah.
process?
Well, so a lot of fortified foods out there. So a lot of ultra processed foods, the way that they create them is they have to destroy the real food aspect
Mhm.
of them, and they're isolating or kind of pulling out very specific parts of that real food, and now it's kind of no longer a real food. It's kind of a franken food, and and that shows up in, like, canola oil, for example. Like, the canola oil, the way they get it out of the canola seed is is through chemicals and all this huge process, right? And then
Mhm.
it shows up in this as this oil in the end product. Well, that oil is being used in everything, but it's an ultra processed oil. And what happens is that our bodies don't process it as well as it does some other oils, some kind of more less processed oils. Um, and so that's true in general with any kind of real food versus ultra processed food. And a lot of times when you have an ultra processed foods, they're then fortifying that food with minerals and vitamins because they want to make it sort of healthy. They want to be able to call it healthy. You see that in cereals, for example. That you see that
Mhm.
in milk. They pasteurize the milk, meaning they destroy it, but then they add vitamin A or vitamin D, right? So they're doing that with synthetic vitamins. And
Mhm.
a lot of times we don't actually even process all of it. Like, our body gets too much of it or it doesn't even know what to do with it. But the beautiful thing when you get the nutrients from real food, so like
Mhm.
organs or the insides, as you like to call it in Africa, which I love now. I'm going to start saying that. Um, when you get
Yes,
when you get the insides, this is a real food. It's Mother Nature made, right?
yes.
And we call it like Mother Nature's multivitamin.
All right.
There's nothing synthetic about it. Your body knows what to do with it. It also comes in the vitamins and minerals are paired in ways that will best support digestibility. Because, for example, if you have certain vitamins or certain minerals, but you don't have complementary vitamins and complementary
Mm.
minerals with those, it won't digest. It won't absorb. Or we're saying I digest and absorb, but I'm really mean absorb. So it
Mm.
won't absorb into your system. And if it doesn't absorb into your system, then you just kind of pee it out. And so that doesn't help you. So when you're eating these real foods, they're actually what we call bioavailable. So they're biologically absorbable, easily absorbed into the human body. And if your
Mm.
body doesn't need them, it won't absorb what it needs. And for the most part, we're all so deficient that you getting some organ meats into your body, whether it's through Pluck daily or through the actual eating of organ meats weekly, you should be fine. Like you shouldn't go into any danger zones of getting too many nutrients or anything like that. Like and what's beautiful about when you eat these foods, if you're eating them, your body will tell you if it wants it or doesn't want it. And then how it
Mm.
does that is it will taste different. Like if you're someone who is eating liver, for example, or the insides, right, in your food,
Yes.
and then you have a period of time where your body's like, I don't need any more iron, or I don't need any more
Mm.
vitamin A. That liver will taste different in your mouth. It
Mm.
will actually either taste overly strong or it just won't taste good.
Yes.
And so when you start to have that happen, then just stop eating it. That's the beautiful thing. But if you swallow a capsule, then you don't know, because the capsule, it bypasses your biological process. It's a delayed response, and then now you might feel nauseous from it, or you might feel kind of wheezy or whatever it is. Then it's like, well, that's just because you got too much of something and you bypassed your own body's intelligence around what it needed. Oh,
Impressive. Oh, yes, impressive. Thank you so much, James. So you can follow James at Chef James Berry on Instagram, and you can follow Eat Pluck at Instagram. So you can check them out on Instagram. Eat Pluck is the brand that we're talking about, health movement. So I have a question. What are some of the three health practices move that the needle the most that listeners can apply to on an immediate basis? Like, what are the three things that are to go to?
yeah, I would say so. We've mentioned one of them, which is just drinking more water alone.
Mm.
That can have huge effects on people's health. Like we base a lot of our health on how we feel and how we look. So if you're
Right.
trying to make a change and you see yourself looking better and feeling better, then you are more likely to continue that change.
Mm.
And drinking more water will immediately produce results. Like it will
Mm.
make people's skin look better right away. And so
Mhm.
if your skin looks better, then you're going to feel, then you're going to start doing it more often, right? You're going to be more motivated. So that's one right away that we've already identified. Another one that we sort of touched on, but this is a way to do it, is we talked about how eating out all the time is really not going to make you healthy. It's really,
Mm.
really hard to be healthy eating out. So one of the things you can start to do is actually cook from home. But how you do that is the best way to cook from home
Mhm.
is to meal plan. And that's something a lot of people don't do, is they don't meal plan.
Yes.
And meal planning is simply like you might find a cooking cookbook or a cook magazine and just skim through it and find recipes that you want to make. Write them down. Say, okay, Monday I'm going to eat this meal, and Tuesday I'm going to eat that meal. And then as you're writing down what you're eating, you make a grocery list. And you don't have to get too complicated. Like most people just need to know what they're eating for dinner every night,
Mm.
because you can always make more than you need, right? So you can always
Right.
create leftovers, and the leftovers can be the next day lunch. Like so
Yes.
you can really, we don't have to make it too complicated. Um, but you create that meal plan, and then what's beautiful about creating the meal plan and having that ingredient list is now when you go to that grocery store, you're not making emotional purchases. You're not
Mm.
grabbing things because you're over hungry, or because you see some dessert on sale or something. Oh,
Yes.
ice cream's $2 off this week. I'm going to grab some. Like you don't do that because it's not on your grocery list. You only
Right.
buy what's on your grocery list, and that kind of takes us to another thing. And I'll actually give you four, even though you only asked for three. So the third one is, if you don't want to eat it, don't bring it into your home. and
True.
and the meal planning and the grocery list will help with that. But it's something we really have to remember, is that we are emotional eaters. And when we have hard days or even good days, we're always looking to reward ourselves, right? And if it's
Mm.
in your house, you will do it. If it's alcohol, you're going to drink it. If it's
Mhm.
ice cream, you're going to eat it. So one
True.
of the easiest things you can do is just don't bring it in your house. Make it hard for you to get it. And so, like, for example, if you're someone who loves ice cream, and let's say you have no ice cream in your house, now you're forcing yourself to go out to buy it. And don't buy a carton, you buy like a cup. You go to an ice cream parlor and you just buy the serving you're going to eat. But I promise you, you're going to have to really want it. If you're forcing yourself to actually get out and walk or go somewhere and do something, you're
Right.
making it harder and you're going to be less inclined to do it. And then I would say the fourth thing that
Mhm.
is the probably the number one mover of the health of our health needle is sleep. If you don't sleep well, if you're not getting good sleep, you make bad decisions with your food the next day. You're more inclined to just eat anything. You're more inclined to binge eat. You're just more inclined to make bad choices, and
Mhm.
or I should say unhealthy choices. So sleep is is literally it's going to support you in making the healthiest decisions in your day.
Right. I like how you talk, and when you were talking, it just reminded how my mother would say that you like push it trolley, meaning that like when you go for groceries, you have this list, but you end up buying things that are not on the list, and you come up with this huge trolley because things are just on sale, money is just hlangani, humunati. So that's how we express ourselves more push it trolley. Like, yes, I feel it. I'm so happy, but when you get home, you find out you bought things that you don't need. So
Yeah.
you wasted money on things that you didn't eat at all. And some of those things, you keep them, you store them in the shelf up until you throw them out without even using them. So I think that
Or you eat them and you regret it later.
right. So with Pluck, you're able to plan your meals, and you're able to save money because you're not buying things that you don't need. And some of I've been reading what the brand offers. They offer no antibiotics, no hormones, no gluten, no sugar, and it's just as organic, as raw as it comes. So you wanted to say something, Jen?
Oh yeah, it's just grass-fed organs, and the five that I mentioned: liver, heart, kidney, spleen, pancreas. It's Redmond real salt, and then it's
Mm.
onion, depending on which variety you buy, but it's onion, garlic, parsley, and lemon peel. It's just real herbs and spices. No junk ever. Like, we don't add any fillers, and and the beauty of it is that, yeah, it flavors your food, so you don't have to buy all the other seasonings.
Mm.
It's going to make your food taste better. And if you eat out and you're taking your health one step at a time, and let's just say the eating out part is is easier for you right now, and the one that you can do is the one to just eat drinking more water,
Mm.
then when you eat out, just bring Pluck with you, and at least then you're making that food healthier. That's really the key, is you just little movements and do the best you can, and hopefully you feel better from those outcomes, and then you continue doing it.
When you're talking about being out like for eating out, in Africa they like during gathering they a man who will come with salt, like a salt shaker,
Yeah.
because they are ready to eat. So it's so funny, guys, to remove black, but it's really a fun way of enjoying your food with flag. So
Oh,
if
you can
you
have
remove
fun with the name too, because if you're let's say at a dinner party and you're offering people the Pluck, you can, after they take it, you say, "I just plucked you," or whatever. You can
yes,
have fun with the name. Pluck, yeah, or whatever.
I'm gonna pluck you, baby, tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna pluck you tonight. Absolutely.
It sounds so romantic, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, right. Gonna help make them healthy.
Yes, we are moving healthier, guys. You can follow us on the floor with Dzoe Ahmad on Spotify, as well as on the floor with Dzoe on Instagram. And you can follow me, Dzoe Ahmad, on Instagram. I'm your girl, baby. We are keeping you plugged. We are plugging you tonight. We are plugged with Chef James Berry. So how can we make sure that I wanted to ask about the accessibility, like for people who want to purchase the plug products. You can share more about the purchasing process. Where do they go for purchasing?
Yeah, of course. So you can go to Amazon, and you can find us there. Just do a search of Pluck or just Oregon seasoning, either way. Um, and then also you can go to our website, which is eatpluck.com.
Mhm.
And um, basically you'll see when you go to our website, you can get a discount code right there right away, and for your first order. And we ship to the U.S. throughout the U.S. We even ship to Canada and abroad. And if for some reason you're in a country that you don't see on our list, just email us and we can add it if you really want it.
Impressive. We're going globally, and with you, you can make us possible in making sure that we create a healthy movement and a healthy mind with eating healthy habits. You can follow Eat Black on Instagram, and you can follow at Chef James Berry on Instagram as well. For those who have got questions and answers, you can write to them. What's your email address? Or you can
Oh,
write to them
yeah.
at james@eatblack.com.
Or you
So,
could just customer services hello at ePluck. That's probably even better.
yes, hello, how you doing? We're
Yeah.
getting blagged. So
Yep.
it's been amazing. So earlier on, you spoke about when you started this brand. You started during COVID. That was its founding inception. What has been some of the lessons learned drawing from the COVID experience to now in terms of marketing, in terms of experiencing, as well as testing and trying the brand? Since people
Well,
they were so hesitant to eat so much things that are new because of
yeah.
uncertainty where we were.
I think a couple of the learning lessons were one, we didn't know how versatile it was when we first launched, and now we've learned. Now that we've had so many customers, we've learned that it really does work on anything. I mean, people love putting on eggs and popcorn and chicken and steak, and I mean, you name it, people put on it. It's so delicious on potatoes as well. Like I said earlier, French fries, things like that. Salads, you could sprinkle it on any vegetable.
Mhm.
Um, so that's one learning, is how versatile it is. The second one is learning how people benefit from it, like learning how skin issues went away, or people slept better, or energy levels increased. And then just in general, all the parents tell us how much they better they feel knowing that their kids are getting this nutrition. And that's how I feel as a parent as well. And and then I would just say, we're just constantly learning. We're always learning and listening to our customers. And what we have to look forward to in the future is some shakers. We're going to be coming out with shakers. Right now, our product comes in a
Yes.
bag, and we're going to change it to shakers soon. And then we're going to have also travel packs as well. So you'll be able to take it on the road really easily. And we have these single serving pouches that you can use. And so we're excited to continue to expose the product to people that are wanting to feel better in their body, but just not knowing how. And we're always grateful for support. So thank you so much for sharing about the product to your audience. And um, I think I think you come from a country that values the insides,
Yes.
and I think the insides have been valued ancestrally for thousands of years, and
Mm,
we've lost touch with that in the U.S. And I think any way we can support people in eating whole animal and getting these nutrients, these very important nutrients, into your body,
yeah.
the better. So we thank you for everyone's support.
Thank you so much for being bringing this innovative brand to existence, and in a very fresh, in a very modern, in a very innovative way, looking at the future and the history and the importance of eating well and living longer, and making sure that we have a wellness and healthy lifestyle. I believe lifestyle is a choice that you can choose based on the needs of your body. And with Pluck, they have different types of brands that you can select when you're shopping. So you're not limited to one ingredient. You experience a different ingredients in all packages. So what flavors do you have in the meantime?
Well, we have our original, which is the first product we launched with, which is very much like an all-purpose seasoning. We get told that it tastes a lot like Lowry's all-purpose or Old Bay. And then we have three other products. We have one called Zesty Garlic, which has
Mhm.
no nightshades and no seeds. So anyone that can't do nightshades, that's a good one for it. But it's kind of like a garden vegetable. It's really kind of got a ranchy taste to it. It's very, very,
Right.
very good and it's kind of garlicky and zesty, hence the name. And then we have a spicy one, but it's mild. It's not too strong. So anyone that likes spicy but doesn't want it to be too strong, they'll like that
Mm,
product a lot. A lot of people use it for their taco nights and things like that. And then our fourth product is just the organ meat. So that one has no salt, no seasonings, no herbs.
mm.
And that one's kind of cool because you can add it to sweet things or sweet or salty things. You could add it to a smoothie, for
Oh
example.
my.
Yeah, you can add it to a smoothie or even a coffee if you're having bulletproof coffee, things like that. So it's really cool in that it can go sweet or salty and
Mm,
or sweet and savory, I should say. And it's just the organ meat. So if you're someone that knows, if you've been tested or if you've gone to your doctor and they're telling you you're anemic, which a lot of particularly women are, um, this is a great product. You can start adding it straight to your ground meats. You can put it in your smoothies in the morning. You can do it, and as long as you do about a teaspoon, that's equals 2 ounces a day. So
mm.
that will be more than adequate for you to become less anemic. It's very effective.
Impressive, impressive. Wow. Guys, as you are listening, this is really it's on fire on the floor. It's I'm impressed. I can't wait to drink coffee. I barely drink coffee, so coffee is made tasty. So thank you so much for sponsoring today's episode, James. I really appreciate learning more about the brand and the health means towards a better living. I like the statement that you said, if you can salt it, you can black it, right? I think
Yeah.
that sticks in my mind. And of course, um, do you have a shopping store that is in person for people who want to do walk
Um,
in, or do you do pop ins?
we have some. We're mostly online on Amazon and epluck.com, but we do have some, and you can find those on our website. There's a tab that says locations. So I think
Mm,
it's discover, and then once you click discover, there's a tab that says locations, and that will list all the states and where we are. There's a couple in Canada, and there's even one in Mexico City, and then a bunch throughout the U.S. So none in Massachusetts, where we are right now, but I'm sure there will be more as people become aware of it. We just haven't really tried very hard about that. Like all the retail we're in is from people reaching out to us. So if you have a retail location or a clinic or a gym and want to carry it, of course you can reach out, and that's at the footer of our website under wholesale.
right.
And
I'm
if you're an
impressed.
influencer, wanting to promote it, we also have an affiliate program, which is also at the footer.
So, what are the criteria are you looking for with the influencers?
It's really just that they have an audience,
Mm,
and so when you become an affiliate, you get a discount code to share with your audience, and then you also get
mm,
one for your own orders, and then every time someone from your audience purchases, you get a cut of that purchase. So it really helps because obviously influencers need to make money too, as you know, and so it's like it's a great way for them to make money from a product that they believe in and that they use themselves.
Perfect. Interesting. So, guys, do follow the journey and the movement. We are excited to have you on board. And thank you for listening to us today. We are celebrating healthy living throughout our lifetime and the next generation. We can make the next generation become a healthier place through eating Pluck, right? So, James, I have a small funny game that we have to play. It's called This and
Oh, okay,
That.
excellent. Let's do it.
It's a little bit wild, but anyways, we're getting to know your other side of funness, right?
Love it.
So it's this or that, right?
Okay,
So we have about 2 minutes to finish 15 questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yes. We have board games or card games.
Oh, lately card games because they're just easier. You could take them with you everywhere.
Great. Broccoli or potatoes.
Oh, broccoli for sure.
Fantasy movie or drama series.
I'm in the middle of those, but I guess lately a good fantasy is always great. Yeah.
Great. Shopping in store or online?
Oh, in store.
I think shopping online is convenient for Pluck, right?
No, that's true for Pluck, but I like to touch the food. I like to
And
read the
see,
labels. It's so, and I'm notorious in my family. Everyone was like, my kids always say, no, you can't go grocery shopping. And I'm like, why? They're like, because you always take so long. And
oh
it's true. Like I
my,
walk every aisle and I look at all the different foods, and I like to see what people are doing.
right.
It's like an office for me. You know what I mean? Like I could spend the whole day in a grocery store.
I mean, you've been doing research. That's good. Shower or bath?
Shower.
Sex in the kitchen or in the shower?
Oh, in the shower for sure. I love that.
Hotel or motel?
Hotel, it's so much nicer.
Right. A balcony or terrace?
Ah, I guess I guess a balcony because it's usually attached to your room, whereas a terrace sometimes is at the top of the building, and
No,
so it's like
yes,
you have more privacy, I guess. So yeah, maybe a balcony.
great. Mexican food or Lebanese food?
Mexican.
Oh, nice. Um, Hookups or long distance sexting? I know you're married.
I know, right? Wait, what was the first part?
Hookups or long distance sexting?
Oh, when I was single, hookups for sure.
Okay.
Way better.
Right. Live in a house or in an apartment?
Oh, house. Well, I guess it depends. Like house, you have more room, but then if you're in an apartment, then someone else is responsible if something goes wrong.
Right.
So sometimes less is more.
Yes. Interesting. A travel at all times or mostly stay at home?
I travel a lot, but
Mm,
honestly, I probably prefer just to stay at home. I kind of I can I like being in one place. I don't like always being living out of my suitcase. I find that to be draining.
right. Dating one person or multiple? This
Oh,
is tough.
multiple for sure.
And
That's
now
how I
you
was when I was single. Oh my god, I dated so many people all at once.
and how did you manage?
Sometimes very poorly, like not very good communicator, and then other times I was a very good communicator around it. But I think here's something. If there's someone's like this is kind of I think a fun topic, but if anyone
Mm,
out there who is single, I think it
mm,
really depends on what is your outcome. So when I was dating lots of different people, I didn't want to be in a relationship. Like so for me,
mm,
dating multiple people, the outcome I wanted was variety and that gave it to me. But if you're someone who's like on the dating scene who wants to be in a monogamous relationship, then it's to your disadvantage if you're dating lots of different people because you're expending your energy. Like it's
mm,
much better in my judgment to be specific about what you want and then wait for what you want so that way you get what you want. If you just continue to take things that are not what you want, then it's harder to achieve what you do want.
right. I think it's even harder to wait because you're in a process of searching. And I like what you said earlier. You said we are animals. So basically, let me speak from an African perspective animals, right? A male animal is the one that hunts for food, right? But then you look at the is the one that hunts for food, right? The male. And so it's always chasing. But nowadays, both of us, either females and males, we are chasing. And if you're chasing, you find different people with different experiences, with different background. You meet them, you hook up with them, you want something with them, you find out it's not working, you move to another person while you're still in communication with that person. So it's even harder to wait for the right person because you don't know when is the right person coming.
Yeah, but we're kind of talking about two different things. So one is I want to try different people. I want to experience different people so that I could figure out what's right. Okay, that's one
Okay.
thing. Okay, but I'm talking about if you're someone who wants to be with one person
Hmm.
and wants to find the person, then whether you're a male or female, if we all have energy. We all have energy kind of, I would say, like buckets, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're a female and you're just kind of letting anyone into your energy bucket that doesn't even like value you or respect you, and you're just kind of doing it because you're bored or because you just want to have something in your life,
Mm-hmm.
then you're wasting energy on people that are not the ones you want. Whether if you save that energy and you get really clear about what you do want, then you're going to attract the person that will fulfill that. But you have to let the energy build up. You have to let it, think about it like almost like an atomic bomb, right? The way the energy just kind of expands out when it goes off.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
you become, as you get really clear about what you want and you respect yourself enough to only take what you want versus
Mm-hmm.
just, a lot of people have low self-esteem, or they just start taking people that are very disrespectful to them and
Mm-hmm.
rude to them, so they're almost in a sense lowering their standards. So if you keep your standard high, keep it really specific, and then you put out in the world, you know, you give the world what you want. So
True.
you
True.
act, you model what it is you want to attract. You will get it. You will attract the person that's going to be right for you. And they may still be wrong, but they'll be closer. They'll be closer than if you're just going for the low hanging fruit.
Impressive. I believe that the energy that we put is what we attract, right? It's who we
Exactly.
are. So,
And if you're
um,
just you're just kind of willy nilly putting your energy, like the way that a guy once explained to me is like for a male, like, so we have a seed, right? So if
mhm,
you're hooking up with people and you're having sex, then you're expending your seed.
mhm.
And to really like think about it less about the act of sex, because if you just focus on the act of sex, well, then everyone just they want the immediate gratification, right? Or at least most
Yes.
men do, not all women, but most men just want the immediate gratification. And that's
Yes.
why after they have sex, then they treat the woman differently, right? Because
Mm,
they've got what they came for, and now they're not as, a lot of times they're not as involved with the woman, right?
yes.
Because their outcome was they wanted just to, ejaculate basically, right? Or whatever it is. Um,
Yes.
so so the way this guy explained it to me, he was like, look, if you look at the seed of what you're giving out to people, if you value it and see it as
Mhm,
part of your energy, and be very selective of who you're
mhm,
willing to expend that energy on, and respect yourself enough to value that energy, right? And who you share it with, then you start to get very selective, and you start to get more discerning around like, oh, I'm not just going to expend this with someone who I don't actually want to be with. I'm going to wait until I'm attracting the energy of the person I want to be with, versus like I'm just doing this for the act of doing it. You know what I mean? So
mhm,
one kind of is putting substance and energy as a value, and the other is putting physical attraction and just physical kind of animalness as the focus. And
impressive.
I'm not trying to say one is better than the other. I'm just saying,
Yes.
if you're someone who is looking for a monogamous relationship, it is to your advantage to wait and really value your body as sacred,
Mhm.
and only let people that also see your body and you as sacred, only share that with the people that see you the way you want to be seen.
Son, yes. Impressive. All this day, there's so much work that I'm doing. Part of work is soul surgery, where I am really healing from the inside out, and either healing from past trauma, past failed relationship, as well as eating disorder. So this journey, when we are incorporating health and food and relationship, it brings me to excitement because we get to know a little bit the other side of your business side, the personal side of who you are, and sharing the messages to people who are going through a journey of soul surgery. Guys, as you listen, he is a well-versed man with in terms of knowledge and well-being in general. So the energy you put out there is what you attract. So taking time to wait is important than wasting time on people want to come, basically. So that's crazy.
Yeah,
And
and I would also add too that as you're sharing, you're going through a process, right? So
yeah.
something that we forget is that we have to honor our own journey with something, right?
Mm.
So a lot of people go like, "Oh, I wish I didn't have that eating disorder. I wish I didn't have this." But the reason why you're where you are right now is because you did have that,
Yes.
right? So we all need contrast. Without
Mm.
contrast, you don't have a direction. You don't really
Mm.
understand what it is you want to change without knowing the contrast from
Right.
your current situation. So you have
Mhm.
lots of contrast. And that contrast, that journey of that contrast is very important to honor. And so I'm always telling people like be kinder to yourselves, because I don't care what diet you follow. I don't care, if you may have had an abusive relationship in the past and you
Mm.
may be very like self deprecating to your, be angry at yourself for having it. And my point is like, don't be angry at yourself, because if you hadn't had that experience, then you wouldn't be able to then find healing.
Right.
We
I
we
think
we
yes.
need it. We need to honor the journey, and the way to honor the journey is to honor yourself. Be kind to
Mm.
yourself, and just kind of like, acknowledge that even if something, like, don't judge what happened. Like when we say something's bad or good, we're judging it. It's different to acknowledge what happened versus
Yeah,
judging it.
absolutely. I believe healing comes with trauma and pain. In order for you to change the narrative, you need to experience a certain ways that you said, I want change in this way. There must be something that has to happen before you ask for change, or before you are in a healing process. So we can all be healed if we acknowledge and take accountability of the past, so that we can embrace the future. We can only do so by starting eating eating healthy habits with Pluck. It's either you salt it or you plug it, but you can gain your inner organs by making sure that you are living large and living well. We've reached an hour, Glory. Wow, I think the time went by very fast. I am really still wanting to learn more, and maybe you can share a little bit more about your experiences about finding your partner, and being, because you spoke about you struggled with communication because of some of the experiences or some of the hookup situation that you're with. What has been the shift to making sure that you are there for your partner?
um yeah, I'm sorry. So what's the question? What do you want to know?
Your communication skills then and now,
Oh, yeah.
specifically to your partner.
I think the biggest lesson I learned from when I was younger till now is that I used to think that either I was too much for my partner, whoever it could be, or
Mm.
so that if I was fully shared what was going on inside myself, my head and my body, that it would be either too much for them, or so too much for them in like that they would be overwhelmed, or B, too much for them in that they would be scared off. That there was
Mm.
something inside me that if I was truly honest about, that it would be misjudged or judged in a way that would make them pull away.
Right.
And I think that was more reflective of how I looked at myself. And when I overcame that and started to really just show up fully with my partner, and really didn't censor myself, but like let myself share my processes. So then that could be simply like how you're feeling that day, but it also might be like, hey, I'm feeling attraction towards these other people, and I want to talk to you about that because I don't want to go outside the relationship. But usually if we're feeling attracted towards other people, it could be just our animal instincts, of like, just attractive people are attractive people, you get things
Mm.
stirred up. But sometimes it's because you're not getting something in your household, or you're not getting something that you need, and so you're looking elsewhere for to fulfill that. So I think the mistake people make is they think they take everything literally. So they think, oh, if
Mm.
something's wrong, then that means the whole relationship is bad. It's like, well, no,
Yes.
you might just be having a bad day, or there might be something else going on.
Mm.
But most of all, we're not actually showing up in our relationships, and you kind of commented on this earlier. We're not actually showing up to ourselves as honestly and as kindly as we could.
Mm.
And and being kind to yourself doesn't necessarily mean that you're pulling punches. It doesn't mean you're being like flowery and like pretending something isn't what it is. It's actually more about, it's more about giving yourself the permission to show up however you feel, like
Mm,
not judging it, not censoring it, but just like trusting that it's going to be okay. Like I can be angry if you're feeling angry. I can be sad. I can be happy, and I can be fully in that as long as you're not hurting someone. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like, but you can be fully in whatever that emotion is, and that people will still accept you. They'll still love you. They'll still be there for you, and
mm.
they'll still show up. And that's very vulnerable to show up like that. But I believe that that's how I show up now in my relationship, and it's a better relationship for it.
Oh, I wish you all the best in the relationship. And vulnerability is a way of showing emotions and strength. We are taught that if you're vulnerable, you are weak. And so
I
thank you
like
for
that. If you're
showing up.
vulnerable, did you say if you're vulnerable, you're awake?
Um, yes, you are
I like
awake.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
It means that you are in tune with your feelings, you are present,
Yeah.
you are an animal, you feel, you experience it, you acknowledge it. So that's why you're vulnerable, right? So thank you so much, Chef Jeff, for joining us and sponsoring today's episode. Guys, you can connect with us on Instagram at On the Floor with Dzoe Ahmad, and you can follow me on Instagram at Dzoe Ahmad, and you can connect with Chef Jeffrey at gems at Pluck.com. What's the other email?
Yeah, hello at eatpluck.com. Yep. And just go to the website at eatpluck.com. Yeah. Thank you, Dzoe.
Thank you. I appreciate chatting with you. I will see you
This was
soon.
fun. Take care.
Yay.